In every culture, in every race, in every demographic, you have what you call sellouts, bootlicks, turncoats, and traitors. And we're not talking about cops tonight. We're not talking about politicians. We're talking about a face that looks like you and ours, a voice that sounds like home, somebody Black on a big platform who has built an entire career on one move, pointing the finger back at us every single time, no matter the story, no matter the facts. The cop could be on the video, the data could be on the table, the system could be caught red-handed.
Okay.
And somehow, some way, they find an angle that lands the blame right back on Black people because we know that it serves their best personal interest and not of the collective. I'm talking about the Black professional critics that most people know, like your Officer Totems or Tatems, the Candace Owensons, the Jesse Lee Petersons, the Anton Daniels, and the Andre Williamsons. And in the young men's lane, and Andrew Tate. So we're not going to perform any outrage, but we're going to diagnose this because this has to deal with power and the associations with power.
Oh, okay.
What is the playbook? Who's paying for it? And why does this lens only ever point in one direction? And that's at Black Americans. Because we need to be very, very precise because this is the brand. These are the public figures with public records. Brandon Tatum, the Officer Tatum, a former police officer who built a national platform largely defending police and going after Black Lives Matter.
It's really painful.
Candace Owens, arguably the most famous Black conservative in the country, who literally produced a film called Uncle Tom and made a career questioning whether systematic racism is even real. Jesse Lee Peterson, the number one sellout in some regards, or the oldest there is, a man who has spent decades saying some of the most incendiary things you can say about Black people, the civil rights movement, and Black women, and getting booked on bigger shows every time he does it. Anton Daniels, a YouTuber with hundreds of thousands, millions of subscribers, whose lane is commentary on the Black community and the Democratic Party leaning right. We have different profiles for Brandon Tatum, Candace Owens, Jesse Lee Peterson. Black conservatism in the United States, when you're talking about Anton Daniels, and I really want you guys to hear me, because this is not a hit piece. This is diagnosing power and how these people benefit from their stance of going against their own people. Because if you notice, majority of these people, if not all, are on the right. And now they sit in these silos where they have been excused and dismissed by the white power structure in some regards, but they understand that they stay faithful long enough that even though white supremacy breaks its twos when it's done with them, they figure, well, I can always be secondhand. Now, hear me clearly. Being conservative is not a crime. Black people have always held every political view under the sun, and a Black conservative is just as Black as anybody else. This is not about left versus right. I'll say that because it's not about left versus right. This is not about being conservative. This is about a specific habit, the habit of only ever aiming the gun downward at the people who already have the least power, and never, not once, with the same heat at the people and the systems that have the most. When have you ever seen Anton Daniels, Jesse Lee Peterson, Candace Owens, Officer Tatum, Andrew Tate ever talk about white on white crime?
Never say never, but I'm not going to say yes.
I'll wait, because I have. Should we point out the issues that we have within the Black American community? Absolutely. But when does the goalpost move? When do we look at the root of the problem versus the branches and the fruit that it bears? Why are we always looking at the results versus the cause? There's a cause and there's an effect. If I only talk about the effect and I always talk about the people that I resemble, the people that I'm a part of, what is the ploy here? What is the benefit gain? I think we already know. Here's the playbook, step by step, because once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. Step one, a story breaks where Black people are clearly the ones being harmed, a questionable shooting, a sentencing gap, a policy that strips a benefit. Step two, instead of asking what the officer did or what the law does or who wrote the rule, the professional critic immediately pivots to, but what about Black on Black crime? Or It's the culture, or what about the culture? Where was their father? Step 3. And this is the magic trick. They frame personal responsibility and systematic accountability as enemies, as if you can only ever talk about one, as if a grown man can't say, be a good father and that caught was wrong in the same breath. Where's the duality? Be a better father, be a better parent, be a better mother, but indeed the caught was wrong. All in the same breath. That's a sleight of hand, ladies and gentlemen. Real life is and, not just or. Personal responsibility and systematic accountability. Both are true.
Fact.
A young man should make good choices and the system should not be rigged against him before he's old enough to make any. But the playbook needs you to pick one, because the moment you admit it's both, their whole act falls apart. Let me do the thing they almost never do, which is be fair to the other side, because here's the truth, family. Some of what these folks say is not wrong. Fatherhood matters, children with present, loving fathers to do better. And that's not a right-wing talking point. That's just real. Education matters. The violence taking Black lives in our neighborhoods is a genuine crisis that deserves genuine attention, not a flinch. Through anything. From anywhere. However far. Whatever it takes. Because it all starts with Lova. Your website, your app, all built on Lova. Built right, kept running. Lova did. See, personal accountability is not a trap. It's a part of dignity. If a Candace Owens or Anton Daniels say, own your choices, build your family, master your money, that part standalone is good advice. And you'll hear it in any barbershop or any church. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that every word out of their mouths is poison.
We all know that now.
That would make me exactly what I'm criticizing, would it not? A person who can't be fair, a broken clock is right twice a day. And yes, a few of their takes taken by themselves are ethically and morally sound. I'll give them that. Believe me, I'll give them that. But here's the question that separates a thinker from a performer. What do you do with the other side of the ledger? Because here's the tale. Here's the whole thing in one sentence. They will spend an hour dissecting what's wrong with Black culture and not 5 minutes with the same fire on what's wrong with the systems, the lies, the atrocities, and yes, the crimes that come out of white America and the people who run things. The lens only points one way.
What?
When a Black teenager does it wrong, it's a referendum on the whole race and the whole culture.
Hypocrisy, my friend.
When a powerful institution does wrong, a bank that redlines, a department that covers up, a politician who lied this country into a war, suddenly it's a few bad apples. Don't generalize everybody. Personal responsibility. The standard flips depending on who's in the dock. That's not the analysis. That's not even conservatism. Real conservatism would hold the government to the strictest standards of them all. That's a performance with an audience and a paycheck. And let's diagnose the power honestly, because that's what we do here on Black Logic. There is a media economy that rewards this. The algorithm loves a Black face saying the harshest possible things about Black people because it travels. It gets shared by people who wanted permission to believe the worst. And now they got a Black messenger to hand them what they already subconsciously thought because of their upbringing, because of the manipulation, because of their hate and bigotry, whatever it is, they're serving a purpose. And now I'm tuned into Candace Owens every single day. I'm tuned into Officer Tate every single day. I can't just miss the next X clip from Andrew Tate. I just can't do it because he's talking bad about Black people and about Black culture. And God damn it, I believe every single word, even though I may have a Black friend, but that's one of the good ones. See, one of them said it. See, that's the product, ladies and gentlemen. That's the business model. The face is the merchandise. I'm not telling you any specific person signed any specific check. I don't know their bank accounts and I won't pretend to. What I'm telling you is that the incentive is real and is structural, and structural incentives shape behavior, whether a person admits to themselves or not. Why do you believe that all the people I name have over 1 million subscribers? Because they are appeasing, they are collaborating, they are offering themselves off to a system that they are being highly rewarded because of the denigration of their own people that they look exactly like. So why does this matter? I know a couple of you probably asking that question. Why give them a whole video? Because this is the part that does real damage, in my opinion. When the harshest narrative about Black America comes out of a Black mouth, it gets weaponized in rooms we're not in.
Period.
It shows up in the comment section under every story about a Black victim. It gets cited by Black people arguing against the very programs, the food assistance, the housing help, the police reform that working Black families actually need. See, the sellout critique becomes the alibi. We don't need to fix the system. Even their own people say their problem is them. That's the function. Whether they intend it or not, that's a job the work performs. And it lets the actual power off the hook completely. Every minute we spend litigating whether Black people are their own worst enemy is a minute nobody's asking why the wealth gap exists, why the sentence is longer for the same crime, why the benefit got cut, who profited, why he got off on self-defense, and why he got 35 years. The professional critic isn't just wrong. He or she is a distraction with a deadline. And the distraction is the point, is it not? And let me speak to the young men for a second, because there's a version of this aimed straight at you. Andrew Tate Lane. Now, Tate is a different animal. He's a Manosphere influencer who faces serious criminal allegation overseas, which he denies. And I'm not going to try them on this particular channel because I'm not going to even get involved with that mess. But notice the same machinery. Take a real hunger, young men wanting strength, discipline, money, respect, women, wrap it in a contempt for the women in your own community and disdain for anybody asking hard questions about power, and sell it back to you as truth nobody wants to tell you. Same trick, younger target. They give you a real vitamin wrapped around a real poison and dare you to separate the two. Separate them both. Take the discipline, take the ambition, leave the contempt on the shelf. See, there's good and bad. There's evil and good. And if you're going to listen to certain people, you probably need to decipher which is which. You probably need to understand and comprehend what is good for you and what is bad for you, and what may change the way you think about the way you look when you see yourself in the mirror and all the people, regardless if you like it or not, that you represent. So what do we do with all of this? Because I refuse to leave you just angry, if that, or just, the usual suspects. Add a list of names that I rattled off. 3 things. 1, standard for everybody. The simplest test there is. When a commentator goes hard at Black people, ask yourself, does this same person go that hard at the cop, the bank, the politician, the system, white on white crime? If the answer is never, you're not listening to a thinker, you're watching a performance. Hold everybody to one standard and the sellouts sort themselves out. Number 2, separate the message from the merchandise. Separate the message from the trash. Take what's true. Be a good parent. Build your money, own your choices, and keep it because it's yours. It was ours before they monetized it. Then throw out the part that tells you that the system is clean and you're the only problem. You're allowed to do both. You're allowed to think. And number 3, and this is the big one, don't outsource your mind to anybody, including me. Don't let a Candace Owens think for you, and don't let me think for you either. Read the data yourself. Watch the footage yourself. Ask who benefits from every story every time. The goal of the playbook is to get you to stop thinking and start repeating their talking points. The most radical thing you can do is refuse. And if you want tools to check the record for yourself, whether it be the voting data, the police accountability numbers, the real resources, that's exactly what we point to you at the end of every video. going to ourvoicevote.org, which is not being funded by the right, the left, the middle, the Martian, the green, whoever it may be is funded by me. And believe me, there's no rhetoric, there's no spin, it's just the truth.
Yes, definitely.
Here's a big picture, family. The problem was never that some Black folks are conservative. The problem is the performer who only ever aims down, who has infinite scrutiny for the powerless and infinite excuses for the powerful. And it calls it carriage. I'm calling out the Black community because blah, 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 blah. We don't need everybody to agree. We need everybody to be honest and truthful. One standard, one lens that points in every direction, and a community that thinks for itself and can't be sold its own destruction with a familiar face. That's connected to every story we cover here by the same single thread. Power. Who has it? Who protects it? And who gets paid to keep you looking the wrong way? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with somebody who needs to hear the truth behind the headlines. Because here, oh no, we're not going to perform outrage, but we're going to diagnose and dissect power in those who may look like us and not really for us.